Hello and welcome to another episode of What I Know to Be True So Far. I'm Kerry Ann McKenzie, your host, magical life coach and soul-led business alchemist. Today's episode is going to be a cracking one because I'm sharing something really exciting with you that's happening in my community. Next week, starting the 12th of December, I am running a 21 days of gratitude. Now, this was created originally from the book The Magic by Rhonda Burns. Now, I was going to do the entire 28 days from this book, but to be honest, 28 days is a lot, and I find that a lot of people sort of fall off around week 4. So I usually do this practice in January each year where I read the book and I go through each of the activities in the book each day and email the community about it. And I first did this process with Francesca Amber years ago, and then I adopted it for myself and my own audience with a few changes just because it aligns more with my values and how I kind of see the practice of gratitude and the way that I like to see the magic in the world through the space and, of consciousness and compassion and all of the magical things. So I'm doing it this year though in December for 2 reasons. One, because there is a little bit of a project that I'm working on, and it's actually a book club podcast that me and my bestie are going to do together. And we'll be doing like different spiritual and personal development books each month. And we'll be reading that book and then reviewing the exercises in that book with our listeners so they can go along the journey of, creating from whatever book we're exploring at the time. And that actually starts in January. So I didn't want to be running this as well as that in January because that might be a lot. But secondly, I really wanted something that could support people through the Christmas and holiday season because let's be honest, it's like the most magical time of the year. But it's also very stressful and it can be very overwhelming. And what I know to be true so far is that daily gratitude will change your experience of life. And so going through this season, this holiday season, that can be very full on. And so I want to bring joy and magic to that experience. So essentially, you're wrapping up the year with a bunch of gratitude and then setting yourself up to go into the new year with a bunch of gratitude as well, and a lot of aligned energy so that you can really create a better experience of life in 2025 and obviously manifest all the way through as well. So it'll finish on the 2nd of January, which is perfect because that's kind of when you're moving into the new energy of the new year. So gratitude obviously is really awesome for manifestation. And yes, if you do this 21-day challenge, you will manifest things through the process. Every single time I have done this process, I manifest the most amazing, crazy things. Sometimes that has been really big manifestations, but also it's been like changes in myself. And both of those things are so valuable to your life and to your quality of life. Manifesting like material things, but then also manifesting like new conscious ways of being. What I actually love the most about gratitude and why I'm so passionate about it is the quality of life and the experience of life aspect, because you will completely shift yourself into a world of daily magic where you are consciously and unconsciously, through the energetics of what this work does, experiencing life in a really magical way. It doesn't mean that every day is perfect because we have duality, polarity, light, dark, which is all essential. It's all part of the human experience and the planetary balance, and it just is the way it is. But your capacity to start your day from like this groundedness and being grounded in your body and being very intentional with the vibration of alignment in your body will start to shift through the practice of gratitude. And you'll experience this deep, like base level of a good vibration. And that vibration helps with trust, surrender, joy, abundance, fulfillment, all of that. So even though you have like normal days, and they might be challenging or even hard days, your base vibration is that of gratitude. And so that will allow you to process everything that you experience in your life in a really different way. And I want to tell you a little bit of a story about why I'm so passionate about gratitude and how it can really impact your life. So not many of you know this about me because most people in my community have found me kind of, in the last 8 years. But prior to my awakenings, I would say that I used to be a pretty miserable person. So, like, all the way up until when I was 28 and I'm now 40, I was chronically like an internal negative Nancy. I struggled to see the joy in life. I would just wake up and constantly like be overthinking things, or instantly I would start to see the negatives and dwell on things. So I would wake up and my brain would just be searching for everything that's not right in my life. And I would worry about money, worry about my relationship, worry about my kids. I would be stressing all the things, like I didn't really have a horrible life at that point, but I still had this like really low level of the human experience and really low vibration. I would criticize myself constantly. I had like zero self-love back then, and I would judge myself. I would literally actually just judge everything and everyone around me. I had this like generalized view of the world that it wasn't very magical, like at all. I came from like a really traumatic childhood. Of course, there were moments of joy within that childhood, and I had an incredibly beautiful mother through my childhood, but very traumatic childhood. Lots of not very great things happened to me, and I suffered a lot of pain in my teen years. Sort of from 16 to 19, I really suffered a lot. And then that sort of led into a very bad relationship with drug and alcohol abuse. And then I also had like a domestic violence relationship and like just a string of bad life choices, one after the next. And it impacted me greatly. And even after I got clean and I had my son and like found a reason to live and started to change my life so that I could create a good career for myself and, not have so many bad decisions or bad life choices, how I still saw the world was not a safe, joyful place for me to be. And the weird part about that was that I was very good at hiding my inner misery with a fake smile to please the people around me, not the people close to me, because actually they got to see the really not very nice side, but just, general people around me would just sort of look on the outside and see me as having like a partner and a child and a nice home and a nice car and see my fake smile and just assume that I was happy. But actually on the inside, I was very not happy. Those close to me, like those very close to me, my inner circle, they knew it. And so did people that I had like everyday interactions with. Like one of my past colleagues who I worked closely with, she even referred to me as like Scary Ann, not Carrie Ann, Scary Ann, because I was honestly like such a moody, grumpy person when you got to know me, because that was like my inner vibration, my inner experience or inner world was really negative. And about 6 months after my second son was born, I experienced like my first awakening. And I mean, it's a long story, but to make it short, I discovered meditation, mindfulness, self-compassion, the power of now, and present moment work. And that sort of started to change everything for me. And I started to see myself and the world differently. I left my job and I moved my family to the countryside to explore like this new way of being, essentially, and spirituality. But I was like a baby explorer at that stage. 2 years later, when my daughter was born, I had my second wave of awakening. And this was like life-altering, full-on spiritual awakening, and it awakened the magic within me as well. I'd always been like a really good manifester even when I was younger, and I would just know things like before they were going to happen, and I mean years before they were going to happen. I had this moment with my ex-husband. We were like so poor, and we were living in this tiny little 2-bedroom townhouse, and we just had my son, and he was working as a bar manager, but it was through like a tourist town, and it was like the winter season, and so he only had like a few shifts a week. I didn't have any work at the time. I'd been working a little bit as a receptionist in the hotel, but I just had the baby, and also I didn't have any money. And I remember like us just being super, super, super poor, and one day just saying to my ex-husband, I said, we just need to hold the vision that everything's going to be okay. Because, and honestly, I don't know where this came from because it felt like it was not even me that was speaking that day. But I turned and I said to him, you know, one day you're going to be an incredible artist and you're going to work for Kelly Slater and I'm going to have my dream job and we're going to have lots of money and it's going to be amazing and everything's going to be fine. And I just knew that. I don't know how to put it. I just knew it. It dropped in and I knew it. And I didn't know anything about spirituality back then. And so 6 years later, when he walked, and we were on the other side of Australia, and he walked into the house and he was like, you're never going to believe who bought the company that I work for. And he was a graphic designer at the time for a surfboard company. And he said to me, it's Kelly Slater. Kelly Slater's now my boss. And I was like, what? I knew that years ago. Like, it was so crazy to me, but like so random, because I just used to think I was a little bit of a weirdo because I would know when things were going to happen and I was able to really manifest things. So the magic was always in me, right? But I never understood it, or like it was never intentional at all. So at this point in my life, when I had my daughter, I found the world of law of attraction. I found spirituality and people like really living from this soul-led experience of life. I picked up my copy of You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay for the third time in my life. And although I'd read some of it before, I never really got it until I really got it then, if that makes sense. Like, you're only ready to consume the information in a book and embody it when you're really ready, if you know what I mean. And so all of a sudden, I had come from knowing there was something magical within me, living a very miserable existence, having 2 spiritual awakenings, and in the second one, suddenly having something to explain my magic and my ability to manifest. And that explanation, you know, was very much a very deep knowing that your thoughts and your energy create your reality. And I had this explanation to tell me why I was able to kind of like know things, because I started to then explore from there, not just your thoughts and energy create your reality, but I started to explore what magic really was, you know, new age work and what creating your reality really meant. So I think all people actually have this level of magic in them, and you may have had moments through your life where you've experienced synchronicities and stuff, but we don't really pay attention to them. But at this stage, I was like fully awakened, and I knew like, oh my gosh, this stuff is really real. And through that awakening over the space of 3 years, many, many, many cool things happened. But the most profound thing that happened to me was that I fell in love with life. I fell in love with being a human, and I found my joy and I found my happiness. And a huge part of that process was gratitude. Like a whole lot of other stuff, but like forgiveness work and shadow work, all those kinds of things. But the huge thing was really gratitude and really understanding and really embodying what it feels like to be an incredibly grateful person, and quite literally started to retrain my brain. I was studying a lot of Joe Dispenza work and that sort of stuff, and I just knew that like there was a capability within me to rewire my brain. So I started to train my brain in a way each day that when it woke up, it immediately looked for things to be grateful for. Instead of waking up and having the negative thought process, or, you know, hashing over my to-do list, or worrying about something, or having judgment, like none of that was happening anymore because I retrained my brain. You can make this way of being, this gratitude, being who you are as a grateful person, become second nature to you. You can get your ego on board with gratitude so that it starts searching for things to be grateful for all the time. Because here's the thing, we get a lot of information about our ego being awful, but your ego is not your enemy. Your ego is just like a machine that's been programmed by your past experiences. And then it just keeps repeating that, and if you hit upper limits of joy or whatever, like, you will keep on having your ego that's been programmed by your past human experiences. And that obviously can have a lot to do with fear and limitation and staying stuck and all those things. It will come up and resurface, but you can actually retrain your brain and make friends with your ego and make the ego look for the good in your general day-to-day life in a way that really works for you. So now every day, my brain seeks out gratitude upon waking up. And I'll tell you right now, living from that and waking up with that sense of like magic within you, and the gratitude for being human, for the entire experience, even the hard parts, having that sense of gratitude for everything is like living a totally different life. It's worlds apart from what I used to be. I couldn't even begin to explain how different I am as a human being from who I was 10 years ago, 12 years ago, to who I am now, and the things that I get to experience. And if someone like me, who was incredibly miserable, who had mountains of trauma, loads of pain and suffering, a generalized distrust and hate for the world, a dislike for other people, if I can train my brain to automatically wake and seek gratitude and live from a real true place of inner peace, I 100% believe that you can do that too. This retraining to the level that I've got it obviously takes time, but I'm going to be sharing loads of this in the future because I think it's really important. But for now, this 21-day setup is an incredible start in the right direction. And I'm not saying you have to be a miserable person, or you have to have had like really traumatic experiences. You might just want to have a more joyful, more magical experience of life, and this is perfect for that. So each day, starting the 12th of December for 21 days, you're going to get in your inbox one daily gratitude practice with insights from my own experience and what I've learned over the last 10 years of practicing gratitude and amplifying my quality of life, and the experiences that I've found to be helpful with gratitude, so that you can live a life from your joy, from your peace. And of course, together with aligned actions, you'll be able to manifest a lot of really cool things along the way. So this is a really magical journey. And I know that you'll start to see changes and shifts in your life throughout the 21 days. Now, if you're busy, because it is the busy, silly season, if you're super busy and you don't get to all of the practices every day, no stress. Like, this process is here to support you and not make your life harder. The practices will be easy and you can do them throughout the day. But even if you don't do all the practices and you just want to energetically soak up some of my magic through the emails each day by reading them, that's also going to be really amazing, and it's going to help you shift your energy as well. So you can just do that. So if you want to go on this journey of transformation through gratitude, click the link below, or you can head over to my website, kerryannmckenzie.com, and you'll see everywhere on the website, in the top panel, on the landing page, in the free resources section, where you can join. Or even if you head over to my Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn, you can get the details there. And please, if you have a friend or a family member who needs a little extra magic in their life this festive season, please invite them to join on the journey as well. I am so excited for 2025, and I think this is the perfect way to finish off the year with all things magic and really set yourself up to be magnetic and have the most beautiful vibratory energy stepping into 2025. All right, that's it for this episode. It's a little bit of a short one because I just wanted to share the magic of the magic and what we'll be going through over the 21 days. I'll be back for another episode next week. And until then, keep on exploring, growing, and learning what it is that you know to be true so far.